Hello YouTube, I hope you're doing well, and in today's video we're going to look at the basic ways of building out house drum grooves. Now if you're new to this channel and not aware of who I am, I'm Brendan James. I've had 18 months experience as an artist of releasing on such labels as Short Circuits, Issues, Night Cuts and Cuff. And I've been helping other like-minded producers for over a year now with one-to-one tuition. So let's waste no time, get into Ableton and make some house drum grooves. Okay, so we are inside Ableton, and with a blank project, and in today's video we're going to just build drum grooves from scratch. Now, when you're starting out as a producer, building drum grooves can be quite complicated because you may not know the certain areas and placements of where each individual sound needs to land. Now, thankfully, there is a basic fundamental of house music drums, which is the 4/4 beat, which is what we'll primarily be looking at today. Now, the easiest way to understand how to build a 4/4 beat is by using the Ableton drum racks, which are found within the drum section on the left hand side. Primarily, most house music is written using the core kits, the 909 or the 808. When we have a look at these drum kits, you'll probably recognize a lot of the sounds within them. So let's use the 909 to start with. And we can drop this onto a MIDI channel, and you can see below it is inserted down there, and we have a wide variety of drum samples. And you can already hear how some of these are just recognizable and are fundamental of house music drums. Now, to create a classic house beat, we're going to be using the 4 on the floor method. So that means we're going to have a kick drum on every single beat. And then within every beat, we have 4 notes. So we have a 1.1.2, a 1.1.3, and a 1.1.4. And this is why you hear the terminology that house music is written in 16th notes, because we have 4 beats and then we have 4 notes within each beat, which equates to 16 notes in total per bar. So now we've got that out of the way and we have got our kick drum on every beat. Our clap then lands every other beat. And then we end up with a rhythm like this. Already sounding like a house beat. And then we can throw in a hi-hat, which lands on the off beat. By the off beat, I'm referring to the 1.3 within one beat. So we can copy that across. And if that doesn't make too much sense, the easiest way to remember the hi-hat placement is in between the kick drums. Sorry to interrupt this video, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm now offering specialised one-to-one tuition online via Zoom. You can book in via my website, where you can also have a look at my other services, including mastering, mixdowns, mixdown and masters combined at a discounted rate, sample packs and templates. If you have any questions, just drop me an email within the forum or drop me a message on Instagram as well. I look forward to working with you and helping level up your music. And easy as that, we have a very basic 4 on the floor drum pattern for house music. Now, when you're starting out producing, it can be quite complicated because there are certain rules, such as these 4 on the floor beats to house music, but then there is also no rules to music production because it's just whatever sounds good at the end of the day. So we can look at some do's and don'ts of note placements for these 3 fundamental elements of house music drums. So first one being the kick. The kick, we can add in multiple notes wherever we feel necessary. But if we overclutter it, it's going to sound messy and it's going to sound too punchy, especially in the clubs. So this is where maybe only one of these would sound good. We can then move our way up to the claps. The claps can land anywhere else in the grid, but I would always avoid adding them onto the 1.3 or the 1 beat. Because if you do this, you'll get a really techno sounding track. And even if we remove this first one, it will still sound very much like techno. But the claps do land really nicely on either the 0.4s or the 0.2s within a beat. And then the hi-hats are a lot more free in the options of where you can place them. For example, they sound good on the beat, on the offbeat where they naturally land, or on the 0.2s and the 0.4s. So now we've got that out of the way, you can really start to experiment and see what drum patterns you can come up with. But what you'll soon run into is the issue of it sounding extremely repetitive. This is where we need to get some variation in our drum grooves. And the easiest way to do that is to go over to the left here and hit duplicate. This is then going to extend our drum groove out to twice the length. So now we're working in 2 bars, and when we're building out our drum grooves, we're always working in even numbers. So we're going to start from 1, then go 2, then it will go up to 4, 8, 16, so on and so forth. So for my variation, maybe I could remove this one here, and then I could add in another clap on the end. So we go, I have a 2-bar drum groove. The next issue you'll probably run into is everything sounds very static at the moment. It feels like a computer has generated this, because in a sense it has. So what we can start to do is humanize our drum loop by changing the velocity. Now, velocity is just a very fancy term for volume, but we can tune the volume for each individual note. So for example, I can go down to this clap here, highlight it, and you can see at the bottom it's highlighted a bar, which is its individual velocity, and I can just turn this down. And I could do that to my other hi-hat. I could do that to the kick that we added in extra. And you can already hear how the drum loop sounds a lot more humanized. Now, another humanizing element that we have within drums is a program called Swing. What Swing is doing is it is loosening up the drum groove. And how it does that is by delaying certain notes within the groove, which creates a looser feeling. Programming Swing inside Ableton is super easy. So all we need to do is go to the groove section on the left-hand side, click on the 2 arrows circled, and then that's going to bring up what's called the groove pool. This is where you'll just find a variety of different swings. Now, there are some rules when using swing, and that is that you always want to use a 16th swing. We will go over why this is important in a minute. So if we go down and use these swing MPC swings, you can see it starts at 74 and then goes down to 54. The number is the amount of swing that is being applied. So the higher the number, the more swing. So for reference, let's go and apply swing 74. Now, what swing is doing is it's delaying the notes. Now, if you can't fully grasp what that means, you can press this button here, and now you can see exactly what's happened. It's extended the notes, which then has pushed some of our notes on the 0.4s and the 0.2s off. So you can really notice it on these hi-hats there. You can see and hear how delayed these hand claps now sound. Now, going back to what I was saying about making sure you use the 16th swing, this is the main reason why, because we want to swing the 0.4s and the 0.2s within a beat. We don't want to swing the 0.3s within the beat or the beat itself. This thing can really create a weird sounding groove. For example, if I add my own swing to these ones, it just actually sounds out of time. You can imagine how much of a nightmare that would be to try and mix as a DJ. Now, thankfully, we don't need to press that little arrow beside it to then see the swing. We can just go back to where we were and just keep the swing like so. Maybe we'll use a slightly less aggressive swing and go for something about 67, somewhere exactly in the middle. From there, you can then experiment within the drum grooves with other elements. We have snares, we have percussive elements like rim shots, and even some crashes. So let's start at the bottom and maybe add a little rim shot in every now and again. So that sounds really nice, sounds nice and groovy. Now we can apply some of the other techniques that we've just been over, such as velocity, to really humanize this. We could also look at getting variation by hitting our duplicate and then adding in an extra note for our rim shot pattern. So that sounds nice there. We could then go up and maybe have a look at a closed hi-hat. So that sounds nice, but then we could apply our velocity change to make it much quieter. So that sounds good. And then we could highlight this and then press Command D to then duplicate it across our 4-bar drum groove now. We could go up again and add some variation with a snare. Typically, snares can be anywhere in the groove, but often you'll hear snares used as little fills on the end, like so. Applying what we've been going over with velocity changes. And now we have some other percussive elements, like some toms. So maybe I could place in a tom every now and then. And I could then highlight this and duplicate this so it only happens once every 2 bars, spanning out that variation so our drum groove naturally sounds a bit more varied without actually having to add anything else to it. maybe a crash on the beginning of our loop. And then we could duplicate this out again and maybe add a ride on top of our main hi-hat on the second half of this drum groove. We could highlight all of them and then use velocities just to make them quieter and sit further back in the mix. And easy as that, we've created a really nice and interesting varied drum groove. Okay, so I hope you found that video useful. Obviously it's tailored more towards beginners, so I really hope you guys got a lot from it. Now, if you are a beginner and you're really struggling to make music, then make sure to hit me up on Instagram and I will try and answer any questions for you. Or you can always book in for one-to-one tuition where I can help you directly over Zoom. Anyways, I will see you in the next video.